Time for the legal desk, and this morning we are looking at affirmative action bill and with regards to women in agriculture and the law. And I have Yao Opon on the phone line to shed some more light about
this subjects. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture had already established a women agriculture development division within the ministry and raised it to a level of a directorate, such that it has a national director at headquarters to supervise women agricultural activities within the country.
The Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Ahmed Al-Hassan Yakubu, believes that there will be some limitations concerning women's rights to land when the Affirmative Action Bill is passed into law.
But I must state very frankly that affirmative action may have its limitations when it comes to dealing with, some cultural issues. Because it is often difficult to just legislate away a cultural practice. In many instances, it's probably important to try to see how a piece of legislation can take on board a cultural situation, so that you can effect change without necessarily disrupting people's way of life.
In Ghana, women have been entitled to lifetime use rights to deceased husband's land under customary law. Agriculture contribution to total employment is estimated to be 42% according to the 2010 population census. The agriculture sector until recently was the largest employer, accounting for over 50.6% of total workforce. Women therefore constitute the majority in the sector, especially in crop farming.
Building the capacity of women has been a major concern for gender activists. Women in agriculture, for instance, are deprived of owning land property. The Affirmative Action Bill seeks to address the inequality that exists between men and women in society. We ask, if this bill is passed into law, can it address the customary practices where men own land properties in the country?
Although affirmative action will be very good in addressing access to land and also access to agri resources, what in terms of agri subsidy, what percentage should be given to women farmers in terms of access to seeds, what should be given to women farmers, I also feel that it should be backed by sensitization, so they're able to claim what is due them. Although policies can be there, when they don't know what is due them, they're not able to fight for what is theirs.
Programs Officer, Women in Law and Development in Ghana, Lois Eduamwa Ado, called for specifics in policies addressing gender issues.
When a policy is formulated and it's just general, it doesn't benefit the women because the men come over and take control over those policies. But when specific quotas are given to what goes to women in agri, I think that it will be very helpful in addressing their concerns, especially in relation to access to land and then access to agricultural resources.
The Affirmative Action Bill is a strategy that will help achieve gender equality. The bill, if passed into law, was Ghana's only way of attaining gender equality with respect to women's participation in decision making. This will provide legally mandated systems, structures and policies to ensure women's participation.
Hey, many thanks to Godfrey Tanam for that story. Now, women participation in decision making has been a battle over the years. I mean, there's been some progress made so far, but we are still below the 30% mark. Now, when it comes to the agricultural sector, women's role cannot be underestimated. This morning, we take a look at that in depth, and I have lawyer Opon, Yao Opon, on the phone lines now to shed some more light. Good morning, Yao.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, what is the focus of this bill?
First of all, I think it's important for us to highlight the existing law so that we would know exactly why a new bill should be passed into law, probably correct any errors or inadequacies in the existing law. So I'll briefly touch on some provisions in the Constitution on this matter, if you may allow me.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, if you look at Article 35, which comes under the Directive Principles of State Policy, there are various provisions under it. For example, it says that the state shall promote just and reasonable access by all citizens to public services and facilities in accordance with law. And then it also says that the states actively promote the integration of the peoples of Ghana and prohibit discrimination and prejudice on grounds of place of origin, circumstances of birth, ethnic origin, gender or religion, and so on. Then also there is a very important provision here which also states that the states afford equality of economic opportunity to all citizens, and in particular, the states take all necessary steps so as to ensure the full integration of women into the mainstream of economic development of Ghana. In addition, Ghana is a signatory to quite a number of international conventions, including the Convention towards the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, and a number of AU conventions which also protect women as well. It is on this one that the states, and my checks confirm that I think it is at the preparation stage. There's no bill that has been presented to Parliament as yet. I think it is still at the referring up stage. But you also notice that under Article 17 of the Constitution, it deals with discrimination, but it says that nothing in this article shall prevent Parliament from enacting laws that are reasonably necessary to provide, and I'm just giving this particular example, for the imposition of, to provide for matters relating to adoption, marriage, divorce, burial, devolution of property, or therefore other matters of personal law, or to address social, economic, educational imbalance in the Ghanaian society. Again, the Constitutional Review Commission, if you read portions of the report, it states, and it has made the recommendation that political parties should be able to make establish voluntary percentages for women to ensure that women participate fully in political programs and supposition in political parties. So it is against this background that a bill which will seek to firm up these existing provisions will be a welcome news, except that sometimes some of these bills, when they are passed into law, they rather tend to even in a way limit the already existing laws and rights that favor these women and indeed the very thing they want to cure. So an example is the Freedom of Information Bill. I mean, I see that there is enough provisions in the Constitution and the existing law that protect the rights of person when it comes to freedom of speech. So at the same time that we welcome a new bill which will seek to firm up and consolidate the existing laws against discrimination against women, it's also important that we don't do anything to limit the already existing law. And also the little I have seen about the bill that is at the preparation stage, it doesn't deal with eliminating discrimination against women alone. It also addresses some aspects that deal with the participation of men in all forms of or in all areas of our economy.
Right. Now, how committed do you think authorities will be towards effectively passing and implementing this law?
Well, I cannot see any incentive for them not to be committed, if anything at all. I mean, anytime a new law, very sensitive law like this is passed, the people who did so have been credited and have been praised. And I think even politically it enhances their political chances and all that. So I can't see any incentives to prevent them from being committed.
Right.
But whilst it is being prepared, I'm saying that we already have sufficient laws that though may be scattered, we have to consolidate them And we may not even need a new law. All it needs is consolidation and also our own actions.
Okay, now, when it comes to the agricultural sector, women's role cannot be underestimated. What do you think can be done to make women more independent in owning land, since the bill is not specific with regards to this?
Oh, well, once again, I think we also have to state the law to reflect existing circumstances. I think that in Ghana, and the little research that we've done, I do not think that there is a conscious effort to deprive women of access to land. I think they have an equal right as everybody else to access and to own property. And if you read Article 36(7) again, it tells you that every person in Ghana has the right to own property and also has the right in respect of inheritance when it comes to that property.
Right.
Article
When it comes to
20 all deal with it.
When it comes to customary law, will it make the affirmation possible?
Well, I can't see how customary law can be a stumbling block or a limitation, because indeed most communities in Ghana recognize the important role of women, and so the Queen Mothers play very important role when even among their kind. When there's deadlock, they say we are going to see the Abrewa, who is the final decision maker, and they play important role when it comes to even chieftaincy. So sometimes it's the practice which may make it seem as if customary law is against the rights of women, but in actual fact there are no specific provisions. Of course, customary law relates to rules that apply to various communities. But the growing evidence is that there hasn't been any specific, in my view, customary law that to a large extent will limit the rights of women as against men. So on that score, I think that customary law welcomes the right of women to own property.
Right, yeah. Now, in reality, currently, women farmers are in the background. So, what exactly can be done, or what kind of education can we give them to kind of, sensitize them on knowing exactly what they can also access or what they can also get from this bill?
Well, I mean, as you said, education is important. I think it's also got to do with funds, because if the woman has funds to procure mechanisms to enable her to engage in large-scale farming, then you will see that they will also be bold enough to even then showcase what they can do. But over many years now, normally the national chief farmers are men. And that is quite worrying. It's because sometimes women, also because of their other important role of bearing children and so on, we are unable to go into large-scale farming, mechanized farming. But with mechanized farming, we don't even need a woman to be at the forefront of farming. All they need is to get the funds, and they'll get other people and other facilities to enable them also engage in large-scale farming. So I think funding will be at the core, and the fact that they should not see themselves as playing second fiddle. I've made the point over time that whenever a woman is given a position, he performs equally, if not better, than even men. So the ideas about quotas, I am even totally against it. Let the woman also be not aware, but let us remind ourselves that we were all created with the same facilities by God.
Right. Lastly, do you think the law will give unnecessary power to women over men?
Well, the law, in my view, should seek to address perceived imbalance between men and women. But in doing so, other people who have done so have also ended up now creating a disparity between the functions of men and women, and they have to, in a way, then also have to reverse it subsequently. In addressing the balance, we should make sure that it doesn't tilt so much towards one person because of the person's gender. We should try and just balance it if there is indeed an imbalance.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this morning. My guest On the phone has been Yao Opon, a lawyer, and he's been talking to us about the affirmative bill and how it will empower women with regards to the agricultural sector.